and welcome everybody. It is the new year, so that means one thing and one thing only for us Fate Grand Order fans, and that is that the GSSR is merely hours away, so I'm going to give you my quick thoughts on how that should go, and give you some ideas for which banner you might want to roll if you're a newer player. So we're going to go to the news, and apologies in advance, this is going to be a very visually boring video, but hopefully if you're looking for this information, I'll be able to get you some ideas. So, as it says here, this is going to go live just a little bit after I post this video. So we're going to try to keep this pretty quick. You need to use 15 paid quartz for this, which means that you need to buy 15 Saint Quartz. So if you go in to buy Saint Quartz and it says, you know, there's different options. There's a paid amount and then there's like a bonus amount. That bonus amount does not count towards your paid number of Saint Quartz. So you need to make sure that the paid Saint Quartz totals at least 15. I think the cheapest that you can do that for is $15. I think that's very worth it in this game. This only comes around twice a year. To get a guaranteed 5-star servant for $15 twice a year, I think is quite reasonable. So if you're considering it, I encourage you to do it. I think it's the best value for money that you're ever going to get in this game. So consider that. Again, make sure you have at least 15 paid Saint Quartz. Free Saint Quartz will not do the trick. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we get to the Saber banner. They're going to be broken up like this by class. So you've got the Saber banner, you've got the Archer banner, Lancer. Going to go through quickly. If you want to look at the servants, feel free to pause as I'm scrolling through. And finally this one. Okay, so I think this is not going to be different from what you'll hear anybody else say, but I think the Caster banner is the most appealing for most players. Largely because you have Merlin and you have Scatty, both of whom are massively powerful support servants who can enable a wide variety of different kinds of team comps that you currently maybe don't have access to. You can run either of these servants for farming purposes, for challenge quests, for clearing story content, for clearing events, whatever you need to do. These two will make it easier for you to do it. So you can use Scatty mostly for quick teams and specifically quick looping teams. If you have a bunch of other AoE quick servants or are planning to get them, Lancelot, Space Ishtar, the Valkyries, Atalante, there's many others who pair really well with her. You can take your own Scatty, a support Scatty, and then that AoE quick servant, and if they have good enough NP generation stats, they can use their Noble Phantasm, refill themselves to 100% or 50%, use the other Scatty's NP charge, go back up to 100, use the NP again, and so on, until you can just clear all 3 waves by Noble Phantasming 3 times in a row on one servant. It's very cool. A lot of people really enjoy that style of gameplay. It's very popular to do right now. Merlin enables a lot of Buster Crit teams specifically, and if you know what you're doing, you can set up a really strong Buster Crit team around him as a support, and you can just get unbelievably high damage numbers using him to buff a Buster Crit servant. So if you have any characters who have like a Star Pull skill and also a Buster buff, Merlin can buff their crit damage, further buff their Buster damage, buff their attack damage, charge their NPs. If they're lacking a way to protect themselves, Merlin has a AoE invincibility skill for 1 turn. So either of those two, massively helpful to every player. And you can, both these 2 servants are quite easy to get off of a support list and borrow for content, but if you have your own and then you can take your own and one from your support list, then that really can push the kind of things that you can pull off in the game. So even if you're like, I don't feel like I need them because I use them all the time for my support list, I still think that if you have your own, you get a lot of value out of them. However, even if you miss either of those two, DPS casters are quite rare in this game, especially effective DPS casters. Shikibu Da Vinci, Nero caster, and Ilya are all very effective DPS casters, and if all you have for DPS casters are like the 3-star casters, then you probably kind of struggle to kill like really beefy assassin enemies. So if you can get your hands on Ilya, who does massive single target damage, if you can get your hands on Nero, who does massive AoE damage, Shikibu and Da Vinci both go for more of like a what's the word I'm looking for here? Like a quantity over quality kind of philosophy with their NPs. Although Shikibu can get really high damage if she can exploit her her anti-demonic niche. So all of these characters, there's not like a bad place to land with any of these, and especially you can really luck out with Merlin or Scatty, or you can fill what is likely a pretty big hole in your roster if you're like most players and are lacking a strong anti-assassin DPS caster option. You can potentially fill that role with any of these DPS servants. So I really think the caster banner is the best one for most players. But really, all of these banners are pretty good. If you have a significant hole in your roster, like you feel like you always struggle to kill X type of enemy, don't let me guide you overtly on this one. Go with your heart for sure. The Archer banner is full of powerhouses. All of these Lancers are extremely useful. The Riders, I feel like, is a little bit of a... not mixed bag in terms of quality, but mixed bag in terms of like the kind of performance that you get out of each of them. Like Reyna's is such a support-heavy rider versus the rest of them are, you know, DPS units, and then Da Vinci is kind of a very specific like arts looping servant with kind of low damage. So you can kind of end up with like a bunch of different results from the rider banner. So if that perturbs you potentially, maybe avoid this one. The Berserker banner gives you a shot at Arjuna Alter, who comes up exceedingly rarely in the gacha ever again. So this is a good chance to have as good odds at getting him as you're ever going to have again, probably, or at least for the foreseeable future. And he's stupid overpowered by a lot of people's accounts. I think this is the only banner that I would caution you about, is the Saber banner here, just because there's so many of them that your chance of getting any one of them is really quite low. So this is the only one where, like, if you're going for the Lancer banner, right, if you really want Tamamo, your odds are 1 in 4, which is not excellent, but is pretty good. Versus if you want Okita, your odds are 1 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's really slim at getting any one of these in particular. So just watch out for that if that's the one that you're thinking about. And because I'm sure some of you are curious, this is the banner I'm going to be rolling, just because I only have 3 of these servants, so I'm pretty likely to get somebody new, and since there aren't very many servants in the game as of right now that I don't have, that would be exciting to me. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Anyways, I hope that you found this a little bit useful in giving you some ideas about what you want to do. As per usual, my in-game follow code and my Discord contact information are going to be in the description below. You can give those a look to follow me on my account and use my support servants here during part 1 and eventually part 2 story quests, so that they can help you out. If you're a newer player and you're struggling to attract friends, you can rely on my servants to help carry you through some of that early content while you're learning the game. You can also contact me privately if you have any questions that you want to ask or things about the game that you want to discuss. I'm always open for that kind of thing. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.